Good evening. I'd like to call the order the Borough of Saraville Planning Board for April 17th, 2024. If we could all rise.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Beth, has this meeting been advertised in accordance with the Public Act?
Yes, Chairman, it has.
We have a roll call, please.
Mr. Hukevich, Mr. Allegra, Mr. Bolton, Mr. Elmeyer, Ms. Larman, Mr. Mueller,
Here.
Mr. Shaw, Mr. Volusin, Councilman Zabrowski, Chairman Ty, Mr. Cornell, Mr. Fowler,
Here.
Mr. Sardillo.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have any moralization of resolutions?
None this evening.
Okay. I make a motion to have the acceptance of the minutes of the last meeting.
That'll be the meeting of the executive session of March 6th, 2024. We have a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the executive session on March 6, 2024.
Second.
Dan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can we have a motion for the regular minutes and executive?
March 20th, 2024. That was the big one.
Yeah.
Need a motion to accept those minutes? On once?
Right, can I make the motion? I appeared by phone, but
Okay.
that's okay. I make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Having a second, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right. Accepting the minutes. Communication agenda,
None this evening.
site plan subdivision in the hearing.
This evening, we have one South 9 Realty LLC preliminary and final major site plan, 928 US Highway 9, Saraville, Block 439, lots 6, 7, and 8.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is James Makovich, Stanicky of Clark, New Jersey. I represent the applicant. As indicated, my client owns a property on Route 9. They operate a retail auto repair center. We've acquired the property immediately adjacent to it, which was residential. The general concept here is to knock down the residential property, make it more conforming to the existing zone, and to give us a much more useful and better parking for ourselves. So we have, of course, the applicant here to testify generally as to what he wants to do. We have the planner, an engineer, and a traffic person. So if we can begin, I'll call my applicant and have him tell you what he wants to do.
Thank you.
Amir?
Good evening. Just going to swear you in. Will you please raise your right hand and swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And could you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Samar Desai, Samar Desai.
Thank you.
Mr. Desai, first of all, can you tell us where you reside?
19 Virginia Street, Saraville, New Jersey.
And are you one of the owners of the applicant?
Yes.
And what goes on the property right now as is condition?
It's an auto repair shop,
And how long has it been there?
14 years.
Prior to your use, do you know what the property was used for?
Same thing.
Now, is it correct that you've acquired the property immediately adjacent to it?
Yes.
And that was a residence?
Yes.
Is that residence currently unoccupied?
Yes.
And what's your desire from the board today?
We would like to make it a parking lot so we could have more parking spaces as our business has grown.
Now, in broad terms, how many days of the week are you open?
We're open 6 days a week.
And what hours?
Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30, and on Saturdays, 7 to 1.
And how many employees do you have?
7.
And that include yourself and your partner?
Yes.
And how many vehicles typically do you have on your site when you're doing your work?
We probably have 25 to 30 vehicles,
Where do your customers come from?
uh, mostly local,
Do you have
South
any,
Amboy, Saraville.
do you have any institutional clients? Any
Uh,
companies and
Yes.
what would be an example?
Lacus Coffee, L&E Distributors, ILO. It's a bakery that
These are local.
service, yeah, all local.
Now, what's the turnover? Typically, when a vehicle comes in to be repaired, how long do they stay on your site?
Usually 1 day to 2 days.
In general terms, do you leave junk cars there for parts or anything like that?
No, we do not.
Now, do you do oil changes?
Yes, we do.
How do you handle your oil changes? What's the process and how do you get rid of your oil?
So we store oil, our used oil in a used oil tank that's in the shop. And then it's disposed by a company like Lorco that comes and picks it up when we need to.
Do you change tires?
Yes, we do.
What do you do with the tires that you change?
The tires that we dispose of are put in the back on on pallets, and then they're picked up every 2 weeks by a scrap tire company.
There was some questions in the back and forth with the municipality. There's an 8-foot fence along the rear of your property. Who owns that fence and who controls the property behind you?
We do.
Okay, both the fence and the property?
Yes, both fence and the property.
And that's a different property than the one we're gonna talk about.
That's correct.
I forgot to ask this question. If the board has approved your application, is your intent to merge the tax lots that the house is on with the tax lot that the Thrust Performance is on?
Yes,
Part of the application provides for landscaping as requested by the board. Is that correct?
yes.
Do you intend to use any type of irrigation to make sure the plants don't die?
So we were going to leave that to the landscaper that we have. If they want us to, yes, we will.
Now, as a practical, are you going to do any solar panels or anything of that nature in connection with this application?
Not at this moment, no.
Obviously you have a refuse area for your used parts and things. Is that correct?
Yes,
Again, whatever the board says for you to do in order to keep it in as good a condition as possible, will you comply with the board's requirements?
yes,
In fact, will you comply with any requirements of the board that you find that are approved, are requested?
yes.
I have no further questions of the witness. If this board has questions, here we are.
Anybody have any questions of the owner? Seeing none, we call your next witness.
Thank you. Bring our engineer, please. How do you want to mark those, Councilman?
If those are going to be, is it different than what's been submitted already to the board? Even if they've just been colorized or,
I think they're just,
okay. Then we'll mark them through, Chairman, it's A1,
A1
A2,
right on
and with the
through.
dates of today's date, please. All right, if I could swear you in. You raise your right hand when you can. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Jason Regan, JASONREGAN.
Thank you.
Can you give us your credentials, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm an associate Hammer, land engineering. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from West Virginia University. I have over 7 years of land development experience, and I'm a licensed civil engineer in the state of New Jersey.
have you been approved as an expert in other locations throughout the state?
No, tonight is my first.
Well, do we have somebody that want to recommend his credentials are all right and let him be on his way?
I'll move that, Chairman.
We have a second?
Second.
It's all yours, first time out.
Okay, Mr. Regan, would you tell us about the existing site and then the changes that are proposed to the existing site?
Yeah. Would you like me to mark this exhibit now?
Yes, please.
Turn it, yep. So you said A1 in today's date?
Yes, we'll do that and then go through it, A2, 3, as you go along.
So the exhibit here shows an aerial of the site. The subject site is block 439, lots 6, 7, and 8. It's in the highway business B3 zone. The adjacent use is to the site are to the north, there's a commercial office space. You have Route 9 to the east. Across from Route 9 is a gas station. To the south is a car wash. And to the west is 3 residential properties. It should be noted that the applicant does own these 3 properties behind the business, as well as lot 6, 7, and 8. Currently on lot 6 exists a single-family residence. It's approximately 1,300 square feet. It has an existing driveway entrance on Route 9. Lot 7 and 8, currently, the Thrust Performance Auto Repair Facility is located on there. It's permitted use in the B3 zone. It's approximately 2,700 square feet. Within the building is 5 existing service bays. The applicant's not proposing any changes to the building, other than some minor lighting on the exterior of the building. The utilities for the 2 existing buildings, I'll start with the single family, come from Route 9, so that's electric, water, gas. Based on the borough records, the sewer is on septic for the single family residence. The applicant agrees to abandon the septic tank in accordance with the Board of Health requirements. As far as the Thrust Performance site, the existing utilities, the electric comes off of Route 9, off a utility pole. The water and sewer come off of Burlew Place through a 20-foot easement on lot 4, and enter the rear of the building. There's an existing force main and pump station. Again, there's no changes proposed to the building or any of the utilities for the Thrust Performance. And then as far as the proposed site, I'll just touch on some of the other removals here. So as I mentioned, they're going to demolish the single family residence. The 2 driveways for Thrust Performance are going to remain. They're going to be reconfigured. The pavement is going to be reconstructed. The curbing will be reconstructed. The sidewalk will be reconstructed. And the parking lot will be expanded into lot 6. So I'll now show the next exhibit. Mark this one. So this exhibit is marked A2. It's a site rendering. It's just the colorized version of the layout essentially, with some minor changes to address some of the board planner and engineer's comments. So as I mentioned, the parking lot expansion will go into lot 6. The applicant's also proposing to consolidate lot 6, 7, and 8 into new lot 701. That lot will be approximately 31,000 square feet, which will meet the bulk requirement for lot area of 20,000 square feet. Again, the auto repair facility is permitted use in the B3 zone. The permitted accessory uses proposed are off-street parking, a trash enclosure at the rear of the site here, existing signage at the front of the site, and outdoor storage behind the building. For circulation, the existing driveways are one way. which will remain. So the entrance driveway is going to be 20 feet one way in, and the exit driveway will be 20 feet out. Around the site, there's 24-foot drive aisles. And then just to touch on the bulk zoning again, there's no new bulk zoning variances proposed. The site, the lot width, 100 feet is required, 208 feet is proposed approximately. For the lot depth, 100 feet is required, approximately 150 feet is proposed. For building coverage, the requirement is 25% and 8.8% is proposed. The building and pavement coverage, 85% is allowed where 68% is proposed. And then again, there's no changes to the existing auto repair facility building, but I'll just mention the setbacks. So for this zone, 50-foot front yard setback is required, where existing is 51 feet. There's an existing nonconformity for the side yard setback in this back corner here, where 10 feet is required and only 7 feet is provided. The rear yard setback, 25 feet is allowed and approximately 36 feet is existing. As far as the building height, 35 feet is allowed and 18 feet is existing. The accessory structure of the trash enclosure will meet all the accessory setbacks and height requirements. And then for the parking of the site, so today there's 11 parking stalls. This building and use type, based on the number of service bays and square footage, requires 25 parking stalls. The applicant's proposing 33 parking stalls, of which 2 will be ADA handicap parking stalls located adjacent to the building here and here. One of those stalls will be an electric vehicle stall. That will be a handicap stall. 1 stall is required for the provided. All the parking stalls will be 9 by 18. Again, we'll have a 24-foot drive aisle throughout the site. The applicant's also proposing a loading stall in the front of the site. One loading stall is required and one's proposed. We are asking for a design waiver for the loading stall size. 12 by 50 is required and 15 by 30 is proposed. The reason for the smaller loading size is just due to the delivery vehicle that's typical for the business, which is the SU30. So with a 15-foot by 30-foot stall, that'll be adequate to handle delivery vehicles. Also, old site plan approval had 15 by 30-foot stall, so it's consistent with the old approval. And also, the 50-foot length is just hard to kind of fit on the site. It's a compact site. But really, it's the main thing is the delivery vehicle is only the SU30. So, another with the loading, another waiver that the applicant is requesting is that it's in the front yard. The reason for that is to keep it away from the residential properties to the rear. It provides an efficient, entry and exit the delivery vehicle. And enter, back up, and exit very easily. Also, again, on the old site plan approval from 1986, it is located in the front of the site on there as well. And then another design waiver the applicants are asking for is parking in the front yard setback. So I'll touch on this more later, but this site requires a 50-foot setback for a landscape buffer in the back. So in order to provide a setback, the parking needs to be oriented towards the front of the site more. And, in order to meet 24-foot drive aisle, provide minimum parking stall size, everything kind of gets pushed up towards the front of the site. Another thing to note is if we lose the 13 stalls that are within the front yard area, we will not be able to meet the minimum parking requirement for the site. And then the last thing to note about this waiver is there is adjacent uses that do have some parking in the front yard already, so it would be consistent with that. As you can see on the lower left here, this business across the street that's parking in the front yard. Some other things just generally about the site are, so the trash enclosure I mentioned earlier, to the rear of the site here, we're proposing a 10x10 trash enclosure. It'll have a 6-foot high, solid white vinyl fence around it. At the request of Mr. Fowler, we're gonna add some additional landscape around it to screen it on all 3 sides. And that'll fit a 2 cubic yard dumpster, which is adequate for, the current use and proposed use of the site. As shown in our site plans, the garbage truck and fire truck can safely maneuver throughout the parking lot, exit and enter the driveways. Again, at the request of Mr. Fowler, we can show an SU30 that will model a delivery and tow truck going through the site. The applicant is also requesting a waiver for sidewalk along the frontage and sidewalk in the drive aisles and driveways. So regarding along the frontage, as you may see on the aerial, there's no existing sidewalk on the adjacent uses to tie into. Also, we are providing landscaping in that area, so there's some shade trees and some shrubs. And there's not a ton of room, there's only about 5 feet. If we put it into the DOT right away, we'd have to get permission from them. And as of now, we're really close to getting the application and they have us do it.
By they, you mean the DOT?
Yes, the DOTs. And then just to touch on a few other items from Mr. Fowler, there's no roof mounted mechanicals on this building, so nothing that would require screening. And applicants, as you heard, not proposing solar panels or any other kind of green building improvements this time. Next, I just like to touch on stormwater management. So the site is not a major development, which means there's not a quarter acre of new impervious area, not an acre of, or a total acre of disturbance. With that being said, we don't have to meet the green infrastructure, stormwater quality or stormwater quantity, or groundwater recharge requirements. Generally, the site drains from the west to east, so that's the back of the site to the front of the site, towards Route 9. And we're going to maintain that existing drainage pattern. The grading on the site is very minimal for the parking lot. In order to meet the DOT's requirement, though, although we don't have to meet the state stormwater requirements, we do have to maintain the existing peak runoff for various storm events. And the way we're doing that is we're providing an underground extended detention basin in this general area of the parking lot. That extended detention basin is 3 rows of 36-inch pipe and a stone envelope. We're also providing a pre-treatment device to the underground extended detention basin, which is approved by the NJDEP for 50% TSS removal. It's the Aquaswirl XC3 device. The storm sewer, there's going to be a couple inlets that are going to get on the parking lot around the site. It's going to be storm pipe that ties to that basin, and the basin will have an outfall pipe that ties into Route 9 as an existing storm system. That system's been sized for the 25-year storm. The outfall pipe's been sized for the 100-year storm. The applicant is requesting a waiver for the pipe material. They want to use HDPE instead of RCP. The HDPE is an industry standard pipe. The extended detention basin is made out of it. It's used widely throughout, the civil engineering field. It handles the same loading criteria as RCP, as long as it's installed properly. Next, I'll just touch on the lighting. So the applicant out there today, one existing light in this general area, and a few building wall sconces. In the proposed condition, they're going to remove the existing pole mounted light and the wall sconces on the building. There'll be 2 proposed pole mounted lights and 3 wall packs on the building. I believe on the building side, there's 2 over here on the north side and 1 on the east side towards the front of the building. All the fixtures are going to be full cut off and downlighting, LED fixtures. the freestanding light height is about 25 feet. And the pole mounted lights will have photo cells. All the site lighting, 30 minutes after closing will be dimmed to 50%. And then there'll be a motion detector, so if any motion is detected, they'll come back on full power for 15 minutes, then dim back down to 50%. The applicant's requesting a design waiver for the minimum light intensity in a parking lot. Mainly in the areas, this lower left-hand corner, as well as in the front. The reason for that is just to kind of limit the light spillage out into the DOT right away. And meet the foot candles on the property line. So half the foot candle is required. I was asking for 0.2 foot candles. The next thing I'll touch on is the landscaping. So as I mentioned previously, a buffer is required here. The buffer that is required is 50 feet in the back. And that's because it's a non-residential use against a residential use. So 50 feet is required. The applicant's proposing 20 feet. The main reason for that is just the existing site conditions. The building, this back corner at the pitch point's only about 36 feet to the back property line. And again, we're trying to, maximize the parking here. And by doing that, you kind of, with the 24-foot drive aisle, put the parking 5 feet, step back from the property line, try to maximize, the most efficient use for the space. A 20-foot buffer is kind of what we came up with to still provide an adequate buffer to the property behind us. Again, I'd just like to note that the applicant does own excluded residential properties behind them. There's an existing white solid vinyl fence along the back. That's also going to provide a buffer. Speaking of the buffer, it's going to be, at the request of Mr. Fowler, we're going to revise it to a double row of staggered evergreen plantings. It's going to be a mix of Colorado spruce and Norway spruce, approximately 18 feet on center. As far as the rest of the landscaping goes, there'll be shade trees along the back here, also shade tree plantings along the northern property line. The fence, there's an existing 6-foot solid fence here that's going to be extended to the root line just short of the right of way. So that'll provide some additional buffering to this use, although it's not required. Again, at the request of Mr. Fowler, we're going to move some of the shade trees up to the root line corridor to provide street trees as requested. So we're planting on the site just a mix of shade trees, evergreen shrubs, and ground cover planting. The majority of the disturbed areas will receive either a seed mix, wood mulch, or decorative stone. The decorative stone will be going at these two center islands. And then other thing is the sign. So the existing sign on the site is proposed to remain. Right now, we're going to request a waiver because the sign doesn't meet the setback requirement. It's 0.6 feet off the property line, where 10 feet is required. The sign's existing, and the applicant's not proposing any changes to the sign. Moving it back would, limit visibility of the sign. And also, just to note, the two adjacent uses, if you go up there, the sign's location are pretty consistent with the adjacent uses as far as setback. They're all, fairly close to the DOT's right away, to provide maximum visibility. And then one last thing to note here is just the applicant agrees to address all the comments from Mr. Cornell and Mr. Fowler's letters, as well as obtaining any outside permitting from other agencies. So the permitting that is required from other agencies is the DOT permitting. There's a lot consolidation as well as a driveway access permit. Both of those are very close to receiving approval from the DOT. We sent signed permits back to the DOT. We're just waiting to get signed permits back from them. The Middlesex County Planning Board site plan, this project is exempt. We've already received the exemption from them. The subdivision approval, if the board does approve the application, there's some comments we need to address. But we don't see a problem addressing those comments. And then last is Freehold Soil Conservation District. Sayreville's an exempt municipality, as I'm sure you guys are aware. So we will handle that through the township, any soil erosion. I think that's all I have.
Have any questions of the,
I do, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Reagan, can you go back to Exhibit A1? You're showing parking on, I'm looking at existing conditions. But on this drawing, you're showing parking behind the existing building that you're going to knock down. So you're already utilizing the back of that property?
Yes, the applicant is part of it.
Okay, because it doesn't show that on the existing conditions.
Yeah, the survey, I believe just picked it up as like a gravel area. It's not paved today, it's just a gravel parking lot.
Okay, but are you don't own that lot right now?
The applicant does own this lot.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Okay, so you are utilizing that lot already?
yes, applicant is.
Mr. Chairman, if I might clarify, the borough zoning officer issued violations because they purchased a single-family house and they began utilizing it for parking, as you see on the aerial. So there was never any approval granted to use the single-family house for that purpose. So they were given violations, and that's one of the reasons they're here before you today, is to get site plan approval to allow that to be a conforming use.
Okay, gotcha.
any other questions?
Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Reagan, did I hear you correctly that the applicant's going to comply with all of the comments and conditions stated by Mr. Fowler and Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Okay, other than, I guess, the loading area is going to be 15 by 30 as opposed to 50
Yeah,
by,
there's some waivers that,
Yeah.
Mr. Cornell, Mr. Fowler asked for clarification on.
And-
So whatever waivers that I provided some justification, we're asking for and looking for approval, but other than that,
and the HDPE sewer pipe, right?
yes, yep.
Okay, okay.
If I might, with regard to the waivers, the applicant was very cooperative in working with our office. We had a technical review meeting. We had a lot of previous comments. They've addressed those. So the waivers that remain are indicated in the report. We don't have any issues with those. They're similar to what's in the surrounding area, and also just based upon the dimensions of the site, you can't have a 50-foot buffer and no parking in the front yard. Basically, makes the site unusable, so we don't see any issues with that. And a 20-foot buffer along the rear property line is similar to what was granted when the Meineke muffler originally was constructed there, so it fits in with what originally was approved.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Fowler? Go ahead.
Just,
Go ahead, John.
oh, I'm sorry. And just maybe it was asked before and I didn't hear the answer. 8-foot fence that lines the back and rear of the property. Is that owned by but currently by the property owner, or is it the property owner's behind? I realize that he's also the property owner behind, but,
I'm saying that the 8-foot fence is on the applicant's property.
and he maintains that.
It's going to stay the same.
And the second question is probably for the applicant. Currently, are there any auto sales that take place off the property, on the property?
Sometimes, some used cars, sometimes, but not really.
Is it anticipated that you're going to expand that use?
No,
Okay,
I'm not.
and that can be a condition? Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Fowler?
Just one clarification on one thing first. The 8-foot fence that the council had referred to, that extends just along one rear property line, not all three, correct?
I believe it's 9 and 10, which is these two lots, but I don't know, Samar, do you know that?
Yeah, no, it's only one, was the 10.
10?
10 has the big fence, the 9 and 11 have 6-foot fence.
Yeah, so all three properties do have a vinyl fence. I think this property is a retaining wall too.
Yeah, that's why
Looks
the
like the
fence
fence
is
is
high.
actually up in the air a little bit.
I thought one with the pool, but they wanted more privacy and they had a higher fence there.
Yeah, exactly.
Did a nice job of covering all of our comments and requests. The only thing I just wanted to clarify, the trash enclosure has to be able to hold recyclables and and trash.
Okay.
Are you gonna be able to do that in 10 feet? Normally, they have to be a little bit wider to get both of those things accommodated. If so, could it be expanded a couple of feet?
Yeah, we could try to extend it. I know you've had concerns initially about, the trash including encroaching on the parking stalls.
Maybe expand it to the south a little?
Yeah, it's just, it might encroach into the buffer a little bit, but we should be able to expand it and get it to work. You know, maybe we'll make it, you know, not as deep with the smaller dumpster. But yeah, we should be able to.
Okay, that'd be great. That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, two questions. Would you have any problem with putting a restraint on 3 or 4 used cars, no more? All right, we'll leave it at 3 then. And the other thing, the 3 houses behind it, they have nothing to do with the businesses that we're talking about in front of the fence. You don't have any intentions of running any auto business, any maintenance business out of those 3 houses? That can be part of this proceedings? That'll be part of this proceedings that you agree to that? Thank you very much. I don't have any. Anybody else have anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You didn't do bad for your first time.
Oh, thank you.
This is our I misspoke, this is our traffic. Please identify yourself.
Dave Shropshire.
Could you please give the board the benefit of your expertise?
First, let me swear you in. Will you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And can you please just, I know you just stated it, spell your name for the record?
Dave Shropshire is SHROPSHIRE, Shropshire Associates. I'm a professional engineer, professional planner in the state of New Jersey. We concentrate on traffic engineering and transportation planning. I've been consulting for 40 years. I've testified before over 200 municipalities throughout the state of New Jersey. I don't believe I've ever been here before, but I'm glad to be here on this application.
We have somebody make a motion to accept his credentials.
Make motion to accept the credentials.
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Sir, all yours. Thank you.
Please, did you make an analysis of the traffic issues, and if so, please tell us what it is.
We provided a fairly brief traffic impact analysis of the site. In effect, this is on a state highway, so it would require state permitting to get the access approved. We do have conditional approval letters from NJDOT for a minor access permit to do the improvements that were already described, and also a preliminary or conditional approval for the lot consolidation. And that's kind of a key element related to this, in that the single-family home actually had a depressed curb along Route 9. So we're consolidating that, removing it from its existing condition. And therefore, the existing 2 access points for the in and out will be all that's done for the consolidated lot. So that's a benefit as far as NJDOT is concerned, and they approved it as a minor permit because it's generating fairly insignificant traffic, not only on a peak hour basis, but on a daily basis. Less than 500 trips is the requirement to be accepted as a minor permit on the site. And this is going to generate considerably lower than that on a daily basis. The projections from NJDOT is that it's going to generate somewhere around 10 peak hour trips. It may be a little bit more or less than that, but it's a fairly low generator. Obviously, there's a lot of traffic on southbound Route 9, so there's not a whole lot of gaps and difficulty in terms of getting out of the site. But it's a going business today, and it's not going to increase to any substantial amount with regard to the site improvements. And in my opinion, the site improvements are a considerable improvement in terms of providing parking spaces and circulation aisles that are consistent with generally accepted traffic engineering standards. That's a brief summary of what we have in the letter.
No further questions?
Anybody have any questions of the planning? Working?
Just traffic.
Traffic. Well, good.
Thank you.
Finally, we'll finish with the planner.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
It's Christine Nazaro, Nazzaro, Cofone, Cofone. Business address is 125 Half Mile Road, Suite 200, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701. I have been qualified here in Sayreville before both the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment as a licensed professional planner. I've been testifying as such for 28 years or so in the state of New Jersey. So I've been qualified here in about 450 other boards throughout the state. I teach planning and zoning courses for the Rutgers Center for Government Services. I'm a court-appointed affordable housing special master, and my licenses are current and valid.
Motion to accept the credentials?
Second? Having a second, all in favor?
Aye.
May proceed.
Madam, if you analyze the application, particularly with respect to the positive and negative criteria, do you have an opinion regarding the same?
Yes, I do. So
What's that opinion?
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Again, for the record, it's Christine Nazaro Capone. My opinion is that this is a very clean application. It's an existing use in the B3 zone for a permitted use. The use on the site is certainly allowable as of right, whereas the lot that is acquired and to be used by the applicant in conjunction with this is actually not. So while we're asking for some reasonable variance relief, we are eliminating a nonconformity along one of the major state highways that traverses the borough. So that's an important planning consideration. I think it was explained quite well by your professional engineer, as well as your planner in their review letters, as well as our existing site development team, that this is an existing site. So there are nonconformities on the site today. And I think Mr. Shropshire put it very succinctly when he said, we're improving the conditions on the site today. If you had an opportunity to visit the site, the parking is a little scattered and the landscaping is a bit non-existent. So while we do need some waivers, which were identified quite nicely by our engineer, who I agree with, I thought did a fantastic job for his first night of testifying. He very clearly identified the 8 waivers that we're seeking, so I don't think I need to go through them again. But the justification when you're dealing with waivers is, do we meet the intent of the ordinance? So, and I think here, when you look at the fact that it's a substantial improvement with respect to the provision of parking, it's a substantial improvement with respect to buffering, it's a substantial improvement with respect to landscaping, I think the board can be very comfortable that we are meeting the intent of the ordinance. Also, importantly, is in the borough's master plan, there are a number of goals that talk about revitalizing and improving underutilized properties in the state highway corridor. So I think that that's an important distinction. And the last thing I'll close with as far as the impact is, when you look at the stated intention and discussions on the highway business zone, it reads, many properties in the B3 zone are underutilized and do not project a favorable image for the borough, and it encourages reinvestment. So this application, while seeking some minor relief with respect to waivers, I think does exactly that. It takes an existing site in the borough, it adds some reinvestment into it, and it certainly increases the curb appeal, the safety, and the functionality of the property. So I can unequivocally say, from a planning point of view, I think we satisfy our statutory burden of proof for the grant of the requested waiver relief.
Any questions?
Okay, thank
Sum
you.
up?
That concludes our presentation.
That? Make a motion to open up to the public.
Motion?
Motion made and second to open up the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Anybody in front of the public like to speak?
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Frank Rapoli. I am a current resident of Sayreville. I've lived in Sayreville for 18 years now. I've been a customer of Dress Performance for some time now. I found them to be a very reliable, very reputable repair shop. I've been a very satisfied customer, and I could only say that allowing them to move forward with their plans would help them to better serve the town, help them to better serve the community. It would allow them to operate more effectively, more efficiently. I've seen what it's like there when it's busy. And as a customer, I know that all their customers depend on them and depend on their ability to work efficiently and get them their vehicles back, that get them to work, to pick up their kids. And I think that the ability to help a small business thrive is very important, especially in current times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to say anything? If not, I'll take a motion to close public portion.
Close.
Get a
Second.
second. All in favor? The ayes have it. Take a what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Motion to approve the application with the conditions agreed to by the applicant and its professionals
The waivers?
and waivers.
I have a second. I have a motion made and seconded.
Roll call.
Yep.
Ms. Larmen. Mr. Mueller.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw. Yes. Mr. Voloshin. Councilman Zabrowski.
Yes.
Chairman Ty.
Yes, thanks for choosing Cerevel and thanks for a nice presentation. Look at this, I beat the wife home from choir. Not gonna happen next month. Oh, we gotta open up. Gotta open up the. There's always a guy that. Gotta open the public.
Yeah, next on the agenda,
Make a motion to open up the public.
Open up public.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Do we have anything?
No.
Want to talk about the next meeting where it's going to be?
oh yeah, well, nobody from the public wants to speak?
No.
Those,
Make a motion to close the public.
Close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
so, our next meeting is May 1st, which will be located at the Senior Citizens Building office, at 425 Main Street. Jay?
We're going to try to get the Borough Street and Road Department to save us spots right behind it, so in case it's raining, we don't get all trenched. So look for your emails. Beth will put something out if there's going to be parking.
Anything else, Jay?
Mr. Chairman, no, just one application for the May 1st meeting.
That, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Everybody have a good night.
Aye.
Thank you.
Short and sweet.